And we're live. Okay, we've already got people starting to trickle in. You're here for the employee retention playbook, how Treetop's journey to 20% employee retention improvement. I'm Logan. I'm your host. We're going to get started in a couple of seconds as people continue to trickle in. Okay, we're already at 20 participants, and we're just at the top of the hour. So if you're just joining, you're here for the Employee Retention Playbook webinar, Treetop's Journey to 20% Improvement. Now, one of the things I wanted to do as we get started is I'm going to run a quick poll. If anybody has kids, I have a daughter myself. She's 15 months old and super cute. She really enjoys applesauce packets. And so I wanted to launch a quick poll. Either maybe you eat them or your children eat them if you have them. But what is your favorite applesauce flavor? And it could be a Treetop applesauce because Treetop does the applesauce packets, which is who's here today. So you're just joining. You're here for the Employee Retention Playbook, Treetop's Journey to 20%. Okay, a lot of original, no sugar added, strawberry, mango. Nobody's got the mango yet. Okay. Well, now that everybody's kind of trickling in, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping. So as we go through the webinar today, yes, we will send you a recap, both with the slide deck and the recording. Use the chat like we're doing now, talking about our favorite applesauce packet flavor from Treetop. Then also take the polls and engage with what we do. Feel free to ask any questions either in the chat or the Q&A function as we go along. So today, who do we have speaking? We have Allison Arnett, Director of Communications at Treetop, and Stephanie Brown, Manager, Human Resources at Treetop. And then Charlotte, my colleague, Director of Customer Success at Beekeeper, is going to be moderating our webinar session today. What are we going to talk about? So we're going to go through, Charlotte's going to kick us off with some 2024 workforce trends. Then we're going to talk about how Treetop improves employee retention. What is the benefit of digitizing processes? And how is HR at Treetop using Beekeeper? And then we'll round it all out with a live Q&A. So drop your questions in the chat because we will answer them live at the end. And with that, I want to turn it over to my colleague, Charlotte, to take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Logan. So when first meeting Allison and Stephanie, I think back in 2022, it was so clear to me how committed they were to improving the employee experience. So to see that they've not only improved that experience, but increased retention by 20% at Stephanie's plant is so wonderful, and we really celebrate that. But before we tell you how, which is I'm sure why you're here, so a bit of a cliffhanger, but before we tell you how, I do want to set the stage with some additional data, some context about why employee engagement is so critical and why it matters. And while there's some frontline focus data available out there, at Beekeeper, we realize we have the best possible audience to really understand and grasp some of these trends, and that's our end users, right? So at the end of last year, we sent out a survey asking 3 basic questions to our users. What motivates you? What stresses you out at work? And why have you left a previous job? We got 8,000 responses, and here's what we've learned. So first, disengaged workers are leaving in droves, and it might not be for reasons that you think. Pay, it's part of the puzzle, but it's not the only thing team members care about. Next, there is a very real disconnect between frontline workers, their managers, and those at corporate. And this is causing that high turnover and high burnout because these groups aren't aligned, right? So to prevent such turnover at businesses, they need to take a step back and evaluate how they can use things like communication and technology to really motivate employees. And then lastly, when stressors are underestimated and motivators such as creating fun environments at work are overlooked, this can create a revolving door of employees and new employees, which can really impact production. The truth is, we're in a job hopping epidemic, and almost half of the workers and managers that started in their jobs just 12 months ago, or maybe even less than that, will turn over. So this great resignation that started after COVID in 2021 is still very much real and alive. But why? Why are people quitting their jobs? And this is what we seek to learn through that survey. And again, we heard about pay. Yes, it's important. It's a piece of the puzzle. But we also learned that employees are no longer living to work, but working to live. And this work-life balance is ever critical. We also heard about toxic environments due to this revolving door of less employees or turnover, but that's the same level of work is still there. Maybe there's even more work to do, but less people to do it because of that turnover. But we also learned about some of those motivators, and it was really exciting to see that there was some consistency across the board amongst frontline team members and managers and corporate about what really does motivate them. So we heard about getting the job done, how motivating that can be. So it is really critical that we have technology and resources for individuals to do this and to get their job done. We also heard that learning and development opportunities are huge. People want to grow and learn and develop in their roles. And then also that friendly environment that we talked about. So if this left you eager to learn more, you can go to our website, you can go to our YouTube page to learn a bit more about some of these trends and some webinars we have on them. But with that, let's go ahead and talk to Allison and Stephanie and see what they think. So Allison, can you tell us a bit about Treetop, the company overall, some of the history?
Yes, so our company was founded in 1960. We've got about 1,000 employees right now and 7 manufacturing locations in 3 states, and we've been with Beekeeper for 2 years. And prior to Beekeeper, we had no way to speak to our frontline workers and our corporate staff all on one platform. So we've got 91% activation on Beekeeper across all locations, which is huge. And it's really kind of streamlined our communication and connected those locations and those employees. So very happy to be working with Beekeeper and sharing all the info we can.
Wonderful. Thanks, Allison. And yeah, major applause for 91%. That's incredible. I know it was, a lot of work put into building up your plan and having a successful launch. So congrats. But it didn't end here, right? You had the launch that was successful and the work continues to drive that adoption. So that's certainly what we want to dig into more today. And so Stephanie, you were able to improve retention by 20% in 1 year. Can you tell us how with Beekeeper, but also beyond that, what have you done?
So obviously keeping employees was a huge motivating factor for us. So we took a look and we actually just at our data, and a lot of it was showing that people are leaving within their first 1 year. So we wanted to figure out, how do we get those people engaged from day one to stick around and stick with Treetop? Once we could get them past the 1 year mark, we seemed to have a lot better success rate. But getting there, we implemented a new onboarding process. So instead of just a couple days of videos and putting them right into the production floor working, we started a mentorship program. We selected 2 of our senior employees and made them the mentors. They're ops leads currently. And so they go through a day and a half of videos and the basic process, but then they team up with those employees, and they're very much their go-to. They show them, where do you get your PPE? Where's the bathroom? What's the best path from the break room to your workstation? How do you make sure you're there on time? They introduced them to their trainers. So they had a connection with their mentor as well as with their new trainer before they even got out there to actually start training, and we kind of just slowed everything down. We also implemented, we do a bunch of stuff with Beekeeper that I'm sure I'll share some more of, but for the onboarding process, we always do a post welcoming people, new hires to the plant. So that way everyone across all 3 shifts can see their photo, see who they are, where they're going to work. So we post that out, and then the whole company can see it, from the CEO to somebody from another plant at a different location. So I usually don't sit in on orientations, but one day I sat in and we pull up Beekeeper and we show them kind of, this is where you see your schedule, this is da, da, da. And their post was already there, and the employees were like, oh my gosh, that's me. And then as we scrolled down, our VP of HR had already commented welcoming them to Treetop and welcoming them to the Sela plant. And so they were like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So that really starts getting them engaged and getting them in from day one. And then from there, we just keep trying to engage and getting them, face recognition with corporate. And we're able to post the shout outs. We're able to do surveys kind of cross-functionally, where they're able to get right in, see, communicate, they get a happy birthday wish from somebody from corporate that they normally wouldn't actually get on a regular basis before we had Beekeeper.
Yeah, and going back to that transparency with our leaders, it's a great way for our plant employees that would say, oh, well, I don't know, our CEO, or I don't know the VP of HR. And now there's that visibility, and it's been a game changer for sure.
And I'm sure not only does that connection from day one impact your activation, getting people to log in right away, but also that connection then to the brand that retains the employee and makes them want to stay longer. And I just have to say, I mean, anyone utilizing any of our customers right now, listening to this webinar right now, using Beekeeper, you should absolutely take advantage of the onboarding and orientation process to help boost that activation. And then also the connection, right? It's twofold: the connection that the employee feels to the business right away, the access that they have to the documents they need. So that's one thing we always talk about, because it is so critical to both that retention activation piece. So thank you for sharing. And Stephanie, you mentioned that mentorship program. I think that's really interesting. You said you select a couple senior employees. Is there anything else that goes into selecting who's part of that mentorship program?
So those 2 employees, they're really well respected out on the production floor by their peers. They're really eager to keep learning and growing with Treetop. They know a lot of positions. This was a great leadership development opportunity for them, where they get to kind of help build the future of Treetop. And then they just, they're very personable. So they have a great, they're not grumpy. They're very enthusiastic about what they're doing. And they want to make Treetop a better place. So that all really played into our decision. Someone who, didn't mind getting outside of the box and that's not my job, but really being able to spread that positivity and that teamwork atmosphere that we wanted to make sure we promoted and connect with those employees.
Right. No, that's great. So yeah, you're not only helping the new hire through orientation, but you're also giving other individuals leadership and growth opportunities, which, if we think back to that survey and what we learned, some of the key motivators for retention tie back to learning and development opportunities. So just another box that you check by implementing this process. That's great. Wonderful. So Stephanie, I know there are several other ways that you're using Beekeeper to communicate. Can you tell us a bit more?
We use Beekeeper a lot. I probably can't say enough good things about it, but we always are like, I'll just put that on Beekeeper. But we use it for not just birthdays and work anniversary posts, just celebrating our employees on basic milestones, but we use it for shout outs to go when someone's gone above and beyond. We post it, we tag them, we shout that out and post it on our other stream as well. So everyone at corporate and all of the plants can see that they've done something amazing. We use it for training recognition or training retention. We do a big annual training at the beginning of the year, which is great, but making sure that they are retaining that information and keeping those insights at the forefront of their mind. We're using Beekeeper to do quick little surveys like which GMP doesn't belong, or just fun little quiz questions to get them to be thinking about our safety topics or our audits that are coming up, or any of our training stuff we're posting there. We're using it to give for fun things we did 'Tis the Season to Sparkle for our holiday event, and we were able to, have everyone vote on which cookie they liked the best from employee submission. So it was very interactive, where they could comment on coworkers' posts and photos and give them shout outs. We use it for other fun little random drawings, who's going to win the Super Bowl, and then we're able to download those survey results and see if it's a training who maybe needs some more attention, who didn't grasp our training because they did answer incorrectly, were they just trying to be smart and show us that something was wrong. What did they really not understand the training? It gives us that ability to connect with them one-on-one to say, tell us more about what you need in this instance, and then to see if something does stick.
Yeah. So you've really done a great job of creating a well-rounded communication strategy and approach. You have, the fun content and engaging content, and you're using the opportunity where you have people in there because they're engaging to then also support some of your training initiatives and by doing some knowledge checks and things like that. So you're able to really, take a well-rounded approach. Wonderful.
Yes, and also, one of our big things has been digitizing some of our processes. Our schedule, for example, is across all 3 shifts with almost 300 employees. That's a lot of people to communicate with, to try to get, if there's a schedule update, or just to get them around one section to see a schedule or a schedule revision. We don't do paper anymore. It's all posted on Beekeeper. Employees are able to use their Beekeeper app and see it at any point in time. It's really helped us administratively. We don't have to make all those phone calls to everybody to tell them their schedule changed. If we do call them, they're like, I already saw it. It was on Beekeeper. You posted it like 10 minutes ago. So they already know, and we're not hearing, I didn't know the schedule changes. I didn't see you called me. I missed the voicemail. They're much more engaged and in tune with what's happening, or to tell us, hey, you didn't schedule me here. Why, they're able to bring up the concerns almost in real time, where we're not trying to backtrack anything. So that's been amazing, as well as when we did union negotiations. The Silo plant is a union facility, so we recently did union negotiations for our collective bargaining agreement. We were able to post updates on Beekeeper from the bargaining committee to all employees, to kind of let them know where we were at, what the session covered. After each session we met with the union, we posted an update, and we got a lot of really good feedback from our employees. They were very appreciative that, because not everyone can be at the table, but everyone has skin in that game. So they were very welcoming to the fact that there was a post and they could go and see, like, oh, this is not where I wanted to go, or hey, this is really amazing, and then be able to start that dialogue with their union reps of, please keep going with that, or tell me more. So it was very helpful with us during that process.
That's great. And I'm sure they so much appreciated that transparency and visibility when maybe that wasn't something that was so obvious or transparent before. Oh, that's great. Thank you for sharing, Stephanie. Allison, question for you. So rumor has it you're working on some onboarding processes in Beekeeper, maybe some
Yes.
services. Can you tell us more?
Sure, absolutely. It's all about optimizing those workflows within Beekeeper. And so we're, in year 2, we've got great activation. I will add a point. So Stephanie was talking about shout outs for birthdays and work anniversaries. When people hear that, oh, I saw this on Beekeeper, we're getting employees that were not activated before prior getting on now because their name was simply on a post. So it seems like a small thing, but those posts are really incredible and engaging and get people on the app. So, but yes, back to onboarding. We're gearing up to pilot our revamped onboarding process at the corporate office in May. We've got a lot of variation across all of our locations for onboarding procedures. So Stephanie is really doing things outside of the box that other locations are not doing yet. She's a superstar on Beekeeper. And so at the corporate office, we'd like to focus on our standardization, right? So with assistance from Josh, he's our customer service success rep at Beekeeper. I've really gotten into building these workflows for onboarding for new employees, and they encompass everything from welcome messages to task assignments for completing your Beekeeper profiles, acquainting new hires with our company values. And additionally, built into the workflow now, we can alert HR managers regarding new hires to get those posts on Beekeeper for inclusion into the system. So it's all built within the workflow. And I've told Charlotte this, but I'm obsessed with it. I want to make everything into a workflow. And so I'm really excited to launch that and trial it at the corporate office. And then hopefully we can also standardize that onboarding process within Beekeeper across all locations so that employees are getting that consistent message regarding our values, our culture, and all of that. And the one thing I'm really thrilled about with the new onboarding process is the 30-day check-in for new employees. And this really marks a significant improvement because we've lacked consistent methods in the past for capturing that data. And moreover, it equips those managers with a reminder to check in, do their 30-day check-in with their new employees, and to talk about their experience in those first 30 days, because we're always looking to improve, and having this information at our fingertips regularly scheduled with new employees will be huge for us. So I'm very excited about it, if you couldn't tell.
Yes, I love your workflows enthusiasm. And for anyone that's listening that might not know what we're talking about when we say workflows, we do have simple, no code, easy to use automation that can connect some of our functionality within the platform to drive things or processes like onboarding, for example. And I'm sure, Allison, we could do another webinar just on your workflow, love of workflows,
Yes.
but can attest to that they're, simple to use and set up.
Oh,
So,
for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
they're very easy. And with a little help from Josh, you can really build it into something really dynamic. So very excited.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
So I know onboarding's maybe the newer process that you're digitizing, Stephanie, but I know you've been doing a ton of work Allison alongside Stephanie. But Allison, what else have you been working on in digitizing?
Our volunteer time off form is now fully within Beekeeper. So employees in the past, they'd have to print out a form, have their manager sign it, but now that form, when they want to volunteer at local nonprofits, is all in the app. We have an Ask the Leadership question where they can just tap the link and ask anonymous questions to the leadership. And then those responses to the questions are posted out on Beekeeper. So we've got that visibility, transparency, and a lot of times the questions we get are a question that hundreds, of other employees have had. So that really helps with the communication and getting the word out. We've also digitized our employee spotlights, the nominations. So we post those monthly. And now it's a form in Beekeeper where employees can nominate their peers. Our leadership can nominate employees. And we just kicked that off maybe about a month ago, and we've got 19 submissions so far. So really excited about that. And people are really loving the idea that they can nominate their peers through Beekeeper. Another way we've digitized, so we do value survey check-ins every other month. And these are surveys just to kind of a pulse check with our employees about, are they understanding our values? What's resonating with them? And so we used Survey Monkey before, and not everybody had access. Our frontline employees would not see that. And so now using Beekeeper, the survey function in there, we get that out to all employees. So it's changed the game for sure, just on those bi-monthly pulse checks about our values. So that's been big.
Great. And what specific benefits, Allison, have you seen from digitizing some of these forms or processes you just mentioned?
Like Stephanie mentioned, the administrative part of all of this. So we have our matching gift forms, all of that, and there's no more paper, and it really streamlines the process. Yeah, and I guess the process is, I think it's just ease of use. I mean,
Right.
we've never had this capability before, so I'm really excited about that.
And just being able to say no more paper is huge.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. It's
Cost and
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Cost and time, yes, and it streamlines everything. It's so easy, and our employees love that too, the functionality of Beekeeper and having easy access to that.
Yeah. Excellent. And Stephanie told us about shifts already, but I mean, I know this was a huge one, especially at launch. I think, right, Allison, that was something you used to really define the what's in it for me for employees, log in,
Yes, we did.
be on site, right? So can
Yes.
you tell us a bit more about what you've seen benefits, we've enjoyed, right, with the shift digitization?
Well, I think Stephanie kind of highlighted the main points, but again, we're going back to that no paper. Employees have access to it 24/7 whenever they want it. And it really, we haven't used the shift functionality in Beekeeper yet, but Stephanie and I are going to meet and we're going to trial the actual shift function at Stephanie's plants. Like I said, she is all about creating ease of use for employees and making it so that they can get the information they need for their jobs anytime. And Stephanie can probably speak more about what she's seen on using shifts for sure.
Yeah. And I think what you mentioned is interesting, Allison, of not using maybe the shift functionality quite yet, but even just posting a picture of the shift schedule up in the application to make it digital, also accessible wherever an employee might be.
Yes.
Just having that value, yeah.
And another thing that what we did, so employees didn't have to download the app, right? And we wanted to create value add for them to do so. But even at all of our locations, even if our employees haven't downloaded the Beekeeper app, we have kiosks in the break rooms. So those employees can even get on those kiosks to see the top news, to see their shifts, everything. So that's been great too.
Perfect. Yeah. More options to view what they need. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. So our last topic for today, Stephanie, I wanted to ask you from an HR standpoint, how are you and your teams using Beekeeper, your HR teams? How's it supporting you?
So we use it a lot. So in addition to posting, I don't think I mentioned with the shift schedule, when we update it, you can actually, there's a little magic bee that will notify your affected users. You can decide who you want to tell, whether you want to tell everyone or you want to just tell the couple people that changed, but then it'll send them a message and then you can see that they saw the message that their schedule did change. But it's a nice little reminder, and we did it for a little bit and then we stopped and people were like, why did you stop doing that? So they were really they liked it, so we turned it back on. I was afraid that people were thinking we were spamming them or something, but yeah, they really liked it. The chat feature is also great because sometimes with all three shifts, even though, you know, my staff and I try to spread out as much as possible across those 24 hours, we're still not going to see every single person. So they're able just to chat on their time. They could just send us a quick message of, you know, could you pull me this paperwork and I can pick it up on my way out? Or can you tell me more about this? Or just something really easy that is just, it just makes it so much more open for them to communicate to us. Or if they're, you know, it's something maybe they're like, I don't know if I really want to tell you, but I want to tell you. They're able to do that and feel more comfortable and then be like, come in and talk to me or set up an appointment. So we're able to get a lot of quick and easy things done, a lot of harder stuff done. It's just been great to be able to have that interaction with our employees more than just, you know, hoping to catch them out on the floor or something. I mean, it's a big facility with 300 employees. And so I always told people, like, I could probably work here 24/7 and I still couldn't see everyone because we're just spaced out. We have a couple different warehouses. So it's hard to get every single person FaceTime every single day, but now we can communicate with them every single day.
Right. And I mean, looking back at this topic of retention, when people feel like they have those open avenues to ask questions and greater accessibility to the individuals that will have answers, again, I'm going to feel more connected, informed, and more likely to stick around. So that channel of communication is huge. Wonderful. So Allison, I'll ask you my final question. We talked a bit about how HR is using Beekeeper, but I know Beekeeper has played a role in the collaboration between HR and comms as well. So can you tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah. You know, originally when we kicked it off, you know, our Tree Talk stream, which is the all employee stream, was just top news. We're going to be sharing CEO updates, all of that. And then working with HR on their own streams, you know, how they've really developed, it has broken down those silos between the corporate office and the HR managers at all the locations. And one of the big things that we saw just in the past couple weeks, an admin assistant at our Ross plant, Mara, had posted on Beekeeper, please stop by the front desk. We're going through a downtime. If you want to work at one of our other plants, you know, please stop by the front desk, fill out this form. And so I emailed Stephanie and Mara and I said, hey, why don't we put this into Beekeeper as a form and, you know, get rid of the paper on that one too. And yeah, they said, of course. They sent me the questions that they wanted answered. And I put that into a Beekeeper form within like 5 minutes. And then posted the link to their streams. And again, making it easy for our employees to find the information they need, to sign up for, you know, extra work, all of that. So that's probably been the biggest thing that we can see across all streams now, all locations, kind of those needs, and hop in when necessary. So that was fun for me.
Yeah, it gives you greater visibility so that you're able to help and give team members what they need. Get more work or do their jobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
All right. So Allison, Stephanie, thank you so much. You shared so many wonderful insights with all of us. So just some key takeaways, if I could possibly summarize all of that into just a few bullet points. But as we heard from Stephanie and her 20% increase in retention, that retention starts from day one in orientation, making your employees feel heard, recognized, and a part of the company. Doing things like mentorship programs can really help new hires grow, but also current employees grow and develop into leadership roles. You can make work more efficient by digitizing your processes, getting rid of paper. That really helps get the job done. Simply put, recognition goes a long way, again, starting from day one all the way through the employee journey. And building a connection between your brand and culture with your employees can also help retain them from day one all the way through.
Yes.
Right. Logan, what questions did we get in the chat?
Okay. Thank you, Allison, Stephanie, and Charlotte. Today has been great. We've gotten a ton of questions. If you have questions still, put them in the chat or into the Q&A function, and we'll answer a few. But if we don't get to them, we will write an answer and send them out afterwards. So your question will get answered either live or after. But the first question that came through actually looks like it has to do with when you were discussing the union negotiations on the platform. And it was, do you have any issues with having union and non-union locations on one platform?
We have not. I actually oversee both a non-union and a union facility. Yeah, obviously the negotiation update was posted to the CELA plan stream directly, but they're not talking about anything online that they're not talking about in person already, either in the break room or when they see each other in the parking lot. We haven't had any issues with that.
Great. Another question that came in was, what HRIS/ATS system do you use, and are you integrated?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. I'm working on that. We use UKG Pro, and we are in the process. It's a new, we were in Kronos prior. We had the integration set up, and now we're working to get the UKG Pro integration. So that's happening very soon.
For ATS, we use Applicant Pro, and Applicant Pro is integrated into UKG for onboarding.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we'll do two more questions, if that's okay. The first is going back, it's what tried and true engagement strategies have worked and that also don't break the budget?
I would say, one of our biggest ones, we've done a lot, especially with COVID, and getting people to work. We've done the meals, we've done swag, but one of the biggest things in our focus groups that we've done is they just want somebody to tell them good job. So the shout outs have been huge. And I'm now starting, Allison and I would probably need to chat about the little form, but I'm starting to get employees who want to give shout outs and have them posted to Beekeeper on their behalf. Our management team all does it, but now employees want to get engaged and get those shout outs. But shout outs have been a huge engagement.
Yes. Yeah, and I agree with Stephanie. Those have been some of our biggest wins. Like I said before, it seems like a small thing, where you're recognizing employees, but turns out it's one of the big drivers into the platform, and it really builds that connection with our employees. So it's zero cost, right? Outside of everything else. Some of the employee spotlights are big, going back to that. In terms of engagement, we use the poll function, so if we want to do a quick test on values or see where people are at or how they're feeling about a certain issue, that we also use that quite often as well.
Great. And then last one we'll do live. The question is, what do you suspect as the reason of turnovers for those who did leave is? So kind of in that retention question.
We do exit interviews for our employees who leave, particularly especially in that early time frame within their first 90 days. A lot of it was, it was just it was so big they didn't feel like they knew anyone. Some of them just didn't like the shift hours. There was some that they just didn't, it was harder than they thought. Not really what they were looking for, but the one that we had the biggest was they felt lonely, kind of. They didn't feel like, and that's why I brought up the bathroom thing, is we make sure they show them. One person did say, I didn't even know where the bathroom was for like 3 days. Like, so they just kind of felt lost in the shuffle. It's such a big place. They didn't know who they could talk to, who was, who could help them, who couldn't help them. So that was that was 45% of our turnover. So that was a big one from our exit surveys.
Great. Thank you. So we are basically at time. So thank you. Again, we will send out these questions and the answers. For everybody joining, how can Beekeeper help? Feel free to reach out to us if you find anything interesting that you heard today. The other thing that I wanted to drop here for everybody on is that September 10th, we will be in person in Nashville for our 3rd annual Frontline Success Summit. You can register and save the date below. I think Allison was with us last year.
Yes.
You can testament to how great of an event it is. And we would love to be able to see everybody there on September 10th in Nashville at the Noel Hotel. And again, like you heard today, you don't have to take Beekeeper's word for it. We have thousands of customers, and you can listen to them just like Allison and Stephanie. And with that, Stephanie, Allison, thank you very much for the time. It's been a pleasure to have you join us. And my daughter will enjoy the treetop applesauce later today.
We'll have to
when I
send
pick
you
her up.
some, Logan. Yeah.
Yeah, after I pick her up from school. And Charlotte, as always, thank you very much. A great moderator. And with that, I want to say thank you to everybody that stuck around. It means a lot that you're thinking about employee retention at your businesses, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay. Bye.